Today we're going to talk about federal spending. I know most of you guys think that the government's a shoddy organization that decides where to spend the money, what's going to sell, and how they're going to do it. It's really not that bad. They're very forthright about how they do it. They tell you, they release a report every year. They want you guys to be educated voters. They want you guys to know about who to vote for and the policies that are coming around. There's two types of government spending. First being mandatory spending, and this is money that they're required to spend. It's a set amount. It's stated in laws, or there's a set number of people that they pay for. So even if they want to move this budget, they couldn't, Tyler.
Where would mandatory spending be applied?
In the government budget.
Okay.
Within the government budget, there's two different kinds of there's two different kinds of spending. Government spending being the first one, mandatory spending being the first one. Second one being discretionary spending, and this is money that chooses. They choose where it goes. It varies, changes. This is where a lot of the debates come from. When you guys watch political debates, because I know all you guys are super interested in the upcoming elections. When they talk about moving the budget, changing the budget, cutting the budget, adding to the budget, this is the part that they're talking about, discretionary funds. They can't really move mandatory too much. What I want you guys to do, there's two slots, one for each, is I want you guys to put what you think mandatory in your own life and what you spend money on. What do you think is mandatory? What do you think is discretionary? What can you move around? What do you absolutely need to spend money on? Take a second, write that down. What's something that's mandatory in your guys' life that you have to spend money on?
Gas.
Gas, and you can't change how much you spend because you drive a certain amount. That's a good example. What else?
Groceries or food.
Groceries, food. You can kind of cut back on that a little bit.
Maybe you're still gonna need it.
You can eat. You can cut back on how much you eat, or cut back on like the quality of what you buy. You can buy stuff that's more expensive, stuff that's cheaper. Paying rent. Rent's usually just can't negotiate. You can't change it. You can't be like, I'm cutting back on rent this month.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing, like other fixed payments. Like
Yeah, fixed payments.
So couldn't a gas be discretionary? Like since you don't have to drive, like you could just walk up, like
You can choose to
from the
walk.
video that we saw, like they
Yeah. You
They
can
forgot
choose to
that
walk,
about
but I think in South Orange County, I can't walk to DeSoto from where I live. It's impossible.
On taxes and food.
Taxes. Taxes is a big one. Food, I think you cut back. What's discretionary? What could you change?
The amount of guitars I buy.
No matter what?
Guitars I buy.
Guitars you buy. Tyler, yes, that's discretionary. You can choose the amount of guitar. Peyton.
I rent a lot of movies.
Movies. Movies is a big one. You can go to less movies. You can go to cheaper movies.
Shoes and clothes.
Shoes and clothes. That's a big one. Shoes and clothes. Last one.
Nail salon.
Nail salon. Yes, nail salon. You can cut back, or you can go more and you can get fancy nails. Okay? The difference between mandatory and discretionary. Entitlement programs. Entitlement programs that we have up in the government spending. These are welfare programs that people are entitled to if they meet a certain requirement. It's usually with age or income levels. Age or income levels. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and then veteran benefits, VA benefits, My granddad, 95 years old, living in Florida, he collects from like 3 of those. He's a veteran, he's on Social Security, he's on Medicaid. So he collects from three of those. Good. What are some examples of the government mandatory spending? What do we have to spend money on?
Like police force and like fire departments.
That could vary. You could have budget cuts in that. There could be budget cuts.
Military.
Military, again, you can sell budget cuts in that. Usually when it's mandatory spending, there's a set number of people that we have to have money for. So examples are Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, like I just said. Food stamps, there's a set number of people that are on food stamps. So we have to have money that represents each and every one of them. Unemployment, there's a certain number of people on unemployment. Head Start programs, government pensions, we know how many people are retired. We know how much it costs. And the national debt, we're going to get into the debt later today and talk about that. But we have to pay interest back on debt. It's usually around, well, I'm not going to tell you guys because you have to do the assignment on it. A little assessment on it. When we're talking about our national debt, we're talking about deficits and debt. And people tend to get this a little confused of what's the difference between a deficit and a debt. A deficit is the amount by which the government's spending its income over a particular period of time. We collect money from taxes, and then we spend money. And if there's a difference, it's called the deficit. It's called the deficit. We have to borrow money to cover the difference.
I'm sorry, do you mind, I guess the wording of the definition?
It's a little awkward, but
Do you mind like explaining it a little bit more?
we raise money and we spend money. The difference between what we raise and what we spend, that's a deficit. I'll show you guys an example in a second.
Example of
And then the debt is the accumulation of the deficit. Just all the deficit just adds up. That's our debt.
Like the amount a government spends with its income over a period of time. That's what it's
Let's make up a country, for example. Let's just say Ramanstan. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. This brand new country. I'm going to tax my people. That's my revenue. That's how I'm going to make money. I'm going to use that money, government spending, to benefit them, feed them, clothe them, build houses, build infrastructure, roads so they can travel around. Maybe do some beneficial stuff. Defense, I gotta protect my people in my country now. The first year I tax them, I make $300, I spend $300, I have a $0 deficit. So I'm clean, I'm good, I broke even. Year 2 rolls around, I tax them $400. More people move into my country. I tax them $400, but I end up spending $500. Okay, we started doing Sunday night movie night, paid for everybody. It added up. It added up. So I created a $100 deficit because I spent more money than I had. And then year 3, I taxed them $600. I spent $800. I created a $200 deficit. We started a space program. I want to go to the moon. Okay, it didn't really work out. but I created a $200 deficit for a grand total of $300 debt. Tyler,
How is the government able to spend more money than it has?
because we borrow it.
Okay.
We borrow it, and we'll get into how our governments borrow money
Okay.
later today. But you borrow and make up the difference. Okay, but this is snowballs and snowballs fast, and that's what kind of happened with our national debt, and now we have to pay back interest, and it's a part of our government spending every year. Discretionary spending. This is stuff that could vary the amount we put into it. Defense, it could change. When I got out of high school, it was really high. Now it's kind of calming down that we're pulling out of different conflict areas. Education needs to go up. I need to get paid. I want to buy a jet ski, guys. Law enforcement could change. National parks, transportation, farm subsidies. We help out farmers from time to time. We give them loans. That's part of our budget. Because if there weren't any farmers or if they failed, we wouldn't have anything to eat, and that wouldn't end up well. Right? People need to eat. Disaster relief, whenever there's a major disaster, the government comes in, usually it's the National Guard, and brings relief. And then foreign aid, we help out other countries.
Wait, does Trump, by trying to make a wall, he's trying to make the defense spending go up more?
It will be part of defense spending.